You sign the paperwork for a seemingly perfect auto loan, only to fall straight into the car payment trap 2026. You drive off the lot feeling like you finally made it. You survived the negotiation, you stayed within your budget, and you have reliable transportation for your family. Days later, the dealership calls. The tone has completely shifted. They claim the financing didn't actually go through. They demand you bring the car back immediately. They demand a higher down payment, jack up your interest rate, and threaten to report the vehicle stolen if you don't comply. A mother in Connecticut was recently arrested at gunpoint over this exact scenario. She didn't miss a single payment. She was just playing a game where the outcomes were mathematically rigged from the factory floor. If your monthly payment is anywhere over $600, or if you're dreading your next vehicle purchase, listen closely. This applies directly to you. You are standing on the exact same trapdoor. Society tells you this is just the unavoidable cost of commuting. It's not. It is wealth destruction disguised as convenience. Today, let's perform a brutal audit of the dealership playbook. I will show you the exact math they hide in the finance office and exactly how you can build the digital leverage to decouple your life from this trap entirely. For decades, the financial industry has pointed its fingers at the middle class. When you feel financially suffocated, they blame your daily latte, your streaming subscriptions, or your fundamental inability to budget. They rely on you experiencing deprivation fatigue, cutting every tiny joy out of your life while ignoring the massive structural traps quietly bleeding you dry. But you can't budget your way out of a structural crisis. Here is the fundamental lie we are all sold from the moment we enter the workforce: that reliable transportation is an affordable, unavoidable necessity. As of Q4 2025, Experian data shows the average monthly payment for a new vehicle has hit $767. Let's pause for a second. Think about what that actually means for your reality. That is not a simple transportation cost. That is a second mortgage for a depreciating piece of metal. And it gets worse. According to Bankrate, nearly 19% of all new car loans now require a monthly payment exceeding $1,000. You wake up on the first of the month, and before you have even paid for housing, food, or electricity, $1,000 is instantly vaporized just for the physical privilege of driving to your job. The traditional advice from out-of-touch financial gurus is always the same: just buy a reliable used car with cash. Let's permanently destroy that outdated myth right now. As of March 2026, used vehicle prices remain artificially inflated, averaging $30,166 according to J.D. Power. If you are standing on a dealership lot right now wondering, why are used car interest rates so high? The answer is simple. The incentives in the system create outcomes that work against consumers. Used car interest rates currently average roughly 11.26%. You aren't avoiding the trap by buying used. You are just stepping into a slightly cheaper, much higher interest cage. The reliable used car isn't a financial safe haven anymore. It's just a trap with higher mileage. Let's reverse engineer this. The value stacking. When you sit down in the finance manager's office, the room is psychologically designed to disarm you. They offer you coffee. They make small talk about your family. And then they ask you the single most dangerous question in the modern K-shaped economy. What monthly payment are you looking for? They use that specific number to engineer a debt spiral. The finance office doesn't care about the purchase price of the vehicle. They care about stretching the math to fit your psychological threshold. Edmunds reports that approximately 29.3% of all trade-ins currently possess negative equity. Imagine you bought a car during the pandemic inventory shortages. It rapidly lost value. And now you desperately want to trade it in for something more affordable. Because you are hyper-focused on keeping that monthly payment manageable, you don't realize that borrowers are rolling an average of $7,214 of negative equity into their new loans. You're literally paying thousands of dollars in interest on a ghost car you no longer drive. To hide this massive negative equity and keep your payment looking normal, lenders pull their favorite mathematical lever: time. New car loan durations are stretching out, averaging 68.9 months according to LendingTree. But if you fall into the middle income bracket with a credit score around 650, they stretch it even further. You are routinely locked into a 75-month loan. Let me show you what this actually means for you by looking at the great American illusion, the Ford F-150. Full-size pickups absolutely dominate the roads. In December 2025, the average transaction price for a full-size pickup hit $66,386. When you finance that over 84 months at an average APR, you aren't just buying a truck. You are essentially creating your own personal auto financing company, except your business loses money every single day. Picture year 4 of that 84-month loan. Your vehicle's depreciation schedule aggressively crosses paths with your loan balance. Your factory warranty has completely expired. The truck suddenly needs $1,200 in new tires and an $800 brake job just to pass the state inspection. But you can't trade it in because you owe $15,000 more to the bank than the physical metal is actually worth. You are trapped in a depreciating asset that requires constant capital injections just to maintain its declining value. This isn't an opinion. This is just math being cruel, but the math is just the foundation. Here is the active deception. The dealership deception playbook. They want you to believe you're in control of the transaction. You're not. Welcome to the dealership spot delivery nightmare. You sign the contract. They shake your hand, congratulate you, and hand you the keys. You drive home under what the industry calls conditional financing. Then the yo-yo financing scam triggers. The Center for Responsible Lending found that up to 25% of consumers earning under $25,000 experience spot delivery or yo-yo scams. The dealer calls you 4 days later. They claim your financing somehow fell through with the bank. They demand you return to the lot immediately once you're back in that high-pressure office. They demand you sign a new contract at a 6% higher interest rate, or they tell you to hand over another $2,000 in cash to keep the car you already thought you bought. If you refuse, they don't just politely void the contract and take the car back. They leverage local authorities. In March 2025, Marklyn Johnson, a mother in Connecticut, was at a grocery store with her 5-month-old baby. She looked outside and saw her car being actively towed. The dealer had intentionally canceled her approved spot delivery to extort a worse contract. When she tried to fight back and keep her vehicle, the dealership called the police. She was arrested at gunpoint for auto theft over a purely civil contract dispute. Stop right there. Let that sink in. The incentives in this system create outcomes where your refusal to accept a worse financial deal is criminalized. And even if your financing magically holds, they bleed you through phantom add-ons. You do your research at home. You see an advertised price online that fits your budget perfectly. But when you arrive, the finance manager forces you to buy tire protection, gap insurance, and nitrogen-filled tires just to get the keys. They look you in the eye and tell you these packages are mandatory. You think it's just one bad dealership in your town? The FTC recently ordered over $75 million in mandated refunds for deceptive dealership pricing. They specifically targeted massive regional networks like Lindsay Auto Group for forcing junk fees onto buyers while aggressively denying the originally advertised rebates that got the buyers in the door. The dealership model is mathematically structured to capitalize on your exhaustion. By the time you get to the finance office, you just want to go home. So, you sign. You are completely ignoring the cost of goods sold. And the good being sold is you. Predatory targeting and the subprime fracture. The system doesn't just target the desperate, it targets the deployed. There is an entire shadow economy designed to systematically churn lower-income borrowers. Lending Tree data shows that 15.3% of the used car financing market belongs to buy here, pay here lots. These businesses do not want you to successfully pay off the car. This isn't about helping bad credit, it's about predictable failure. Their entire mathematical model relies on you defaulting. They sell you a mechanically deficient car at an astronomical 24% interest rate. They run the algorithms, and they fully expect you to miss a payment around month 4. When you do, they instantly repossess the car, keep your entire down payment, keep your 3 months of payments, and sell the exact same clunker to the next victim on the lot. It is a highly optimized cycle of manufactured insolvency. The pressure of this ecosystem is causing the bottom to fall out entirely. For deep subprime borrowers, default rates are approaching a catastrophic 12%, according to CSUNNBER. But the most revealing part of this machine is who they actively hunt. Predatory lenders purposefully set up shop right outside military bases. In July 2025, First Cash, a massive pawn and auto lending operation with thousands of locations, was hit with a $9 million CFPB settlement for actively targeting active duty service members. They blatantly violated the Military Lending Act. They forced unlawful loans with illegal fees onto soldiers deployed overseas, hiding behind mandatory arbitration clauses so the victims couldn't sue them in civil court. It is the ultimate poverty premium. It costs a tremendous amount of money to be vulnerable in this economy. But what happens when this hyper-leveraged auto loan bubble pops? The repossession economy and systemic fraud. We are watching the structural foundation of this market buckle in real time. Cox Automotive projected up to 3 million vehicle repossessions by the end of 2025. When you can't make the payment, society tells you the punishment is simply losing the car and taking the bus. That is another lie. They take the car, auction it off for pennies on the dollar to their wholesale partners, and hit you with a deficiency balance after repossession. You still owe $12,000 for a car you no longer possess, and your credit score is suppressed for a decade. To make it worse, the CFPB found in 2024 that 66% of lenders now use third-party repossession forwarders. These middlemen add massive logistical, storage, and recovery fees directly to your outstanding balance, ensuring you can mathematically never redeem the loan and get your car back. But sometimes the consumer finds a loophole and fights back. Look at Tia McCreary in Lima, Ohio. After a dealership wrongfully repossessed her Kia while she was at work, she didn't just accept the loss. She got smart. She discovered the dealership had carelessly let its corporate trade name registration expire. Tia legally claimed the LLC name with the Ohio Secretary of State. She sued them for fraud and legally blocked them from using their own business name. It is a rare, brilliant moment of a trapped professional using the system's paperwork against it. However, the rot goes much deeper than the local car lot. It goes all the way to Wall Street. These predatory loans are bundled into asset-backed securities, or ABS. In an originate-to-distribute model, your loan is simply inventory. The incentive is volume, not your financial survival. Lenders treat these toxic loans as products to sell to massive investors. Look at Tricolor Holdings. They double-pledged $548 million in auto loans to multiple parties to hide their insolvency. As the company collapsed toward a billion-dollar bankruptcy, the CEO parachuted out with a $6.25 million payout, leaving investors and subprime customers to absorb the damage. And because the market is so desperate for loan volume to package into these securities, organized synthetic identity rings are estimated to cause $9.2 billion in auto lending fraud losses, according to Point Predictive. The lenders lose billions to AI-generated fake identities, and they simply pass those losses directly onto you in the form of higher interest rates and mandatory fees. So how do you beat a machine that is optimized from the factory floor to Wall Street? The blueprint: decoupling your income. Let's reverse engineer your daily life. Why do you even need this expensive vehicle in the first place? We don't buy these cars for luxury. We buy them to facilitate our income. You need it to commute to a job that pays you a gross salary of $30 an hour. But you are bleeding money on vampire costs. After federal taxes, state taxes, the $767 car payment, $200 for premium insurance, the gas, and the shadow work of your unpaid 2-hour daily commute, your real hourly wage isn't $30. It's mathematically closer to $4 an hour. You're trading the absolute best years of your physical life to pay off a depreciating asset, just so you have the required clearance to drive back to a cubicle. Your car isn't freedom. It is the physical toll booth you must pay to access your paycheck. I'm sharing the math behind these structural shifts for educational purposes. Your results depend entirely on your execution. If you are wondering how to escape negative equity car loan traps right now, the first step is strictly defense. Stop playing their 84-month game. If you are currently underwater, you have to audit your life. Cut the hidden convenience subscriptions, stop the decompression spending, and aggressively attack the principal balance before the depreciation curve bankrupts your household. But defense isn't enough to permanently change your life. You need a behavior shift. You need offense. The traditional advice tells you to get a second job, to drive that expensive car into the ground working for Uber or delivering groceries. That is a trap. That just accelerates the depreciation curve on the vehicle you are already drowning in. If your car is the physical toll you pay to access your income, the only true escape is finding an income source that doesn't require a physical toll booth. You have to decouple your earning potential from physical transit. The K-shaped economy heavily rewards those who separate their time and location from their income. You need zero capital digital assets. Instead of spending 2 hours a night scrolling Zillow or worrying about your transmission failing, you leverage that time to build a B2B SaaS affiliate pipeline, software as a service. You use automated software to connect small businesses with the digital tools they desperately need to survive, like CRM systems, automated email marketing, or AI customer service bots. When they sign up through your affiliate link, you collect recurring monthly commissions. There is no physical inventory to store. There is no $43,000 physical asset required to commute to a warehouse. There are no dealer markups, no yo-yo scams, and no repossession agents coming in the middle of the night. You put the front-loaded, focused work in once, and the system works for you while you sleep. You are building an income stream that fundamentally doesn't care if your car breaks down, if gas prices spike, or if your boss decides to cut your hours. You aren't just trying to pay off a truck. You are trying to buy back your time. Remember Marklyn Johnson, the mother held at gunpoint over a canceled spot delivery. She did everything right according to the old rules. She signed the papers, she made the deal, and the incentives of the system still turned her into a criminal just to protect its profit margins. You can work 60 hours a week, you can skip every vacation, but you can't out-earn a trap you don't even know you're in. Now you know, the bank doesn't care about your commute. They don't care about your family's stability. They aren't selling you a car. They are selling a financial chain wrapped in leather seats. You don't need a better budget. You need to stop playing a rigged game. If you've ever been trapped in a finance office while they pushed mandatory junk fees on you, drop the exact amount they tried to extort from you in the comments below. Let's get the data out in the open and expose exactly how much this is costing us. And if you're ready to stop trading your freedom for a gross salary that evaporates before it hits your bank account, click the video on screen right now. I break down the exact math of the work scam and how your $100,000 salary is actually keeping you broke. It's time to build your digital leverage. I'll see you there.